And this week, we're going to go to Module 14, which is kind of a double module, which you'll see as I get into it. There's a lot of material here. So we're going to start by talking about the Avengers. So the Avengers, as I put here, are second-tier heroes with top-shelf adventures. Whereas the Fantastic Four were purposely built for greatness and helped make Marvel what it is today, the Avengers were an assemblage of leftover heroes and a reboot of the Golden Age all-winners squad, and often could barely stand on their own, and that's why Captain America had to go on ice in the first place. But over time, their rotating membership and involvement in almost every major Marvel conflict made the Avengers essential to the Marvel Universe. Now, if you're wondering why the Avengers became the focal point of the MCU as opposed to the Fantastic Four or X-Men, it's entirely due to which characters or heroes were free from studio licensing. This just happened to be Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Ant-Man, and most of the others, except for Spider-Man, who has been parsimoniously loaned out by Sony Pictures, and sometimes acrimoniously. So the MCU is really the equivalent of a really good Italian peasant pasta, which is made entirely out of stuff that nobody else wants, but is still incredibly delicious because it usually involves bacon. I don't know which character would be the bacon. Iron Man, Captain America. I'm not sure. But this is the kind of magic that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were famous for, and they managed to tie these leftover characters into all of the major Marvel storylines. So the original Avengers, appearing in Avengers 1 in 1963, were Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk, Ant-Man, and the Wasp. Cap was defrosted and made a member by issue number 4, and some of the other members include, but are not limited to, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Black Widow, Black Knight, Black Panther, got the black characters in there, Swordsman, Hercules, Vision, Mantis, Moondragon, Moon Knight, Hellcat, Beast, Miss and or Captain Marvel, Falcon, Wonder Man, Thing, War Machine, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Captain Britain, Luke Cage, Wolverine, Valkyrie, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Doctor Strange, Daredevil, Storm, and some of these cross over into other teams as well, as we see. Many of them had short stays, got killed and resurrected, went to rehab, took breaks, changed their names, and gave up and passed their names and supersuits to someone younger. But they're all Avengers at one time or another. So because the entire point of their existence, aside from cashing in on team-ups, was to fight heroes too powerful for just one hero, they came into contact with some of the nastiest villains that the Marvel Universe had to offer. Galactus, Doctor Doom, Thanos, Magus, Kang the Conqueror, Dormammu, each other on numerous occasions, and of course Loki, repeatedly. Loki's always up to his crazy shit. They saved the Earth, they saved the universe, and they saved the multiverse. They also ate all 3 of them in Marvel Zombies, which I highly recommend, which has basically all of your favorite Marvel characters becoming zombies and wreaking havoc everywhere. Although I will say that if you're a Black Panther fan, Black Panther he gets done wrong. I just got to tell you. Next, we're going to talk about the Infinity War and where that came from, how it came about. So the 2 main ingredients needed to create the Infinity War are a pile of magic rocks and a guy crazy enough to collect them. So the first appearance of an Infinity Stone, which they're originally called Soul Gems, was in Marvel Premiere number 1 in 1972, along with Adam Warlock, who has always been closely associated with the stones. It was later revealed in 1976 that there were 6 gems and that each had its own particular power. To possess all of them would grant the owner unmatched power. Enter Thanos in 1973, who is a creation of Jim Starlin, who also created Drax the Destroyer and Gamora. He was a protege of Kirby and Ditko, who combined the sensibilities of both of them. Thanos would menace the Marvel Universe sporadically throughout the 70s, but really reached his nasty potential in the 1990s after he appeared in Silver Surfer number 34 and got his own Thanos Quest series. And of course, what was his quest? To gather the stones and extinguish half of the universe. Now, unlike in the MCU, he didn't do this out of some misguided desire to reduce the demand for galactic resources or whatever he said. I wasn't listening. He did it to impress a woman. He figured that by killing that many people, he would impress Mistress Death and she would fall for his grand romantic homicidal gesture. She didn't. She apparently was not attracted to power or purple guys with big chins, and Thanos was left with this big, powerful, jewel-encrusted glove and a broken heart. So Thanos' quest begot Infinity Gauntlet, which begot Infinity War, which led to Infinity Watch and Infinity Crusade. And that's the thing about Infinity, it just never ends. Adam Warlock, the Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and every galactic villain marginally less evil than Thanos teamed up to take him down. At one point, his sort of granddaughter Nebula, which is his granddaughter in the comic, took the gauntlet, restored half the universe, and then started using it to create her own evil plans. And at another point, Magus, who's the evil alternate universe version of Adam Warlock, ended up with it and had to be taken down by every still living hero, along with Thanos, who somewhere along the line decided he had a conscience. So ultimately, Adam Warlock ended up with the gauntlet and redistributed the stones across the universe. If this sounds totally different from the movies, that's because it is. So starting with the movie version of Infinity War. So it was directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, who also did Captain America Civil War. And in another lifetime, they did Arrested Development, which kind of makes sense if you really think about it. Written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, who wrote all of the Captain America films. And produced by Kevin Feige, which is important because he was involved in every single MCU film. And that may be one reason why things worked the way they did. The first half of the culmination of 10 years worth of Marvel films. It had to be big, entertaining, yet heartbreaking. Otherwise, how could there be an Endgame? And it wisely followed the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows model, tentpole film too big for a single tent. And it also carried the momentum of Civil War and made everybody forget about Ultron, which is really pretty mediocre. But that's because Ultron is just like super annoying. But that's just me. So the comic original conflict comes from the Infinity Gauntlet series. But by this point, the MCU Avengers are really following their own cues, which were drawn from the Ultimates, which I think I mentioned, Ultron, and the Civil War storylines. And although we get a glimpse of what appears to be Adam Warlock at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he's simply not a factor in the films. So instead, we get the logical extension of the MCU's various storylines, which depart from their comic origins, but stay true to the characters' arcs and universe's rules. Since comics are constantly redoing and retouching the storylines and absorbing Marvel Cinematic Universe storylines as well, it all makes sense in the end. So our synopsis, picking up 2 years after Civil War and immediately after the conclusion of Thor Ragnarok, the Avengers are far-flung and in disarray. Thanos, floating around the post-credit scenes of most of the films, has figured out where all the Infinity Stones are located and is coming for them. And when he gets them, we also want to talk about the Avengers Endgame, which is the sequel to Infinity War. So created by the same people, okay? So this is the second half of the culmination of 10 years worth of Marvel films, and it had to be big, entertaining, and repair our broken hearts from the end of Infinity War. I'm sure some of us cried. Biggest goddamn movie of all time, damn it. It sold all of the tickets. All of them, I think. I don't know, I could be exaggerating, but I don't think I am. Comic origin, I don't even really know anymore. So many stories, so many characters. Allegedly, Avengers Forever from 1999 is the source of the time travel technique that they use and gives a good explanation of exactly how it works, which, if you want to know, find Avengers Forever and try to read up. I try never to try to read too much about time travel because it never works, but whatever. And Farmer Thanos comes from the end of Infinity Gauntlet. So picking up immediately after Infinity War, the surviving Avengers and Captain Marvel confront Thanos and try to get him to unsnap the universe. That goes about as well as could be expected. And then 5 years later, they try something else that is risky and stupid and just might work. And I worked really hard not to put any spoilers there. So thank you. Applause, please.